and welcome to our special show, Living Long and Healthy with COVID Vaccination. Now, this show seeks to address any concerns you may have, any doubts you may have regarding the COVID vaccination and living in this new normal. Vaccinations, remember, is the only way to protect yourself, and it's the only way we're all going to defeat this pandemic. We have experts with us to take any of your questions, address any concerns that you may have. Joining us today, Dr. Avinash Kumar, consultant physician, diabetologist, and diabetic foot specialist at Aviksha Healthcare Ranchi. We also have with us Dr. Srinivas Murthy, a professor at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Medical College, Bengaluru, and Dr. Sandeep Chopra, additional director, interventional cardiology at the Fortis Hospital in Ludhiana. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us on the show today. I'd like to start with you, Dr. Avinash Kumar, and this is a question we get a lot from people, and there's a lot of vaccine hesitancy, and people really want to know, how long is the vaccine going to last? How long does it continue to protect us?
Actually, the COVID vaccine that has come just 3 months ago in India, started this immunization. So we don't have very strong data on it, that how long it will act, but it has become almost 3 months. So by that time, there is no cases of reinfection. There are very few cases of reinfection with the same strains. So we can say some data is available that at least for the 90 days, or you can say 3 months, there is no infection. This vaccine will give the immunity. But if in reference to the text we had from last few years about the influenza infection, that the vaccine for the influenza infection that behaves like COVID, its immunity lasts for almost 6 to 8 months. So we are expecting that this vaccine action will act for at least 8 months. 8 or 9 months.
Dr. Srinivas Murthy, what are the common and minor side effects reported by people who have had the vaccine?
Thank you, Gargi. I think you rightly said that it's a common and they are all mild. So just to begin, about 60% of the patients experience these milder symptoms which are predictable and they're short-lived. I want to emphasize the fact that they're predictable, they're short-lived, need not be afraid of the side effects. And the commonest side effects remains to be generalized tiredness, the body pains, the local site, injection site pain, myalgia, nausea, loss of appetite. Few people have got diarrhea. And mind you, all these are predictable, they're short-lived. What I mean by that is about 80% of the patients, mostly healthcare individuals, were able to attend their clinics, their hospitals the next day. That means only 20% had to refrain from their work the next day. So they're short-lived. That means 12 hours they can begin with. As soon as 8 hours, they can begin with their side effects like a feverish, body pains, something like a flu, viral flu, what all of us get. And that's the commonest symptom. So you need to take rest just for about 24 hours and take a paracetamol tablet. And that is all it is. They are all short-lived. They are predictable. And that is most important for us not to fear because of the side effect. The injection fear, definitely you need not keep in your mind just because of these side effects. And mind you, as I said, 60% of them do develop some kind of minor symptoms like these, which are called adverse events, and these are nothing major as of now. You need not fear about the side effect profile, and please do not hesitate to vaccinate yourself and your kith and kin at the earliest so that we can fight this pandemic in a better way.
Right, Dr. Murthy, I'd just like to follow up with another question, that why are some people experiencing more side effects in terms of body pain and fever and those who aren't? Another question we get, does it mean it's not being as effective in the people who are not feeling unwell?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. I think, thank you, Gargi, because that's something we have seen in a lot of surveys. We have done short time surveys where elderly people have less side effects compared to the younger generation. In fact, the younger, what we mean is about 40, 45, 50, that range experience the side effect profile more, and the older people, because the inflammatory response is what is explained. Number two, what we have observed, people who have previously infected about 3 months prior or 6 months prior, they also have some kind of side effects which are more pronounced compared to other, and it's individual. But mind you, the severity will not reflect your antibody response. Just because you never had any symptoms, that doesn't mean the vaccine is not working in your body. Do not worry about the antibody titers. That's another aspect people are worried about, is your antibody titers. They get it done in a lab and claim that my antibody response is low. So do not worry about that. There are two types of immunity. The other immunity will definitely take care, at least for 6 to 12 months as of now.
All right. Dr. Sandeep Chopra, another question we get, and since there's so much talk of variants, and there's a UK variant, South Africa variant, Brazil variant, and we have our own double mutated virus also, does the vaccine protect against these new variants?
Sure. So one thing we need to be clear is that all viruses mutate, and so does the COVID-19 virus, and that is expected. So yes, the vaccines protect against the variants, but to a lesser extent. There's a UK, the Brazilian and the South African variant which are prevalent now. The effectiveness against the South African variant is just 10%. So the good part is, because we know that these variants come in with all viruses, the new vaccines like the RNA-based vaccines or the viral vector-based vaccines can always be modified with time to protect against the variants. So as of now, obviously there is not complete protection, but it does protect against severe disease.
All right. Dr. Avnish Kumar, how will the vaccine affect blood sugar levels? Is there any extra care that people, with sugar issues have to take?
Actually, there is not much data available on this, that the COVID-19 vaccine affects the blood sugar level. COVID affects the blood sugar level itself, but vaccine does not affect much. If there is some rise in temperature, like doctor said earlier, that may lead to the stress and increase in the stress hormone, which can lead to some rise in blood sugar level, but it is very temporary and insignificant.
All right, because this is a concern many people have. Dr. Srinivas Murthy, if people do have diabetes and they have complications like foot disease, is the vaccine safe for them?
100%. I think they are on the top priority. It's the other way around, that when you have a heart attack, when you have a kidney failure, when you have a foot disease or any other complications related to diabetes, then they are on the top of the priority list to get immunized. So don't think the other way around. Because I had a heart attack last year, so I cannot take a vaccine. Please do not be under that. Diabetes itself is an immunosuppressive condition where the fighting power in the body comes down. And we know badly controlled diabetics will suffer more from COVID complications. Similarly, people who have these complications like foot infections or any other diabetic related complications have to be immunized at the earliest. So please take your kith and kin, that is your parents, for a change. The children have to take the parents for the vaccination, and please do it at the earliest so that we can fight this the second wave in an effective manner.
All right. Dr. Chopra, for people who have heart disease, we're talking about people with diabetes now, people with heart disease, is there any special precautions they need to take on the day they're going in for the vaccine?
Sure. So heart disease patients, especially those after bypass surgery or a stenting procedure in the past, are on blood thinners. So that's a major concern, because there's an advisory that all patients on blood thinners should be cautious about the vaccine. So all you need to do is consult your treating cardiologist and ask him or her whether these blood thinners need to be continued. My main aim to tell you is that do not stop your blood thinners without consulting your physician or your cardiologist. I would say they are absolutely safe to take your vaccine with the blood thinners on. There are a number of blood thinners which the patients can be on, and your doctor will decide which needs to be stopped, if at all. Otherwise, for a heart disease patient, it is imperative and essential to get the vaccine, because, like I said earlier by my colleagues here, that the chances of getting a severe COVID-19 infection is much more in a patient with cardiac disease.
All right. So it's more important they go ahead and get vaccinated, and there's no worry
Absolutely.
about the blood thinner aspect. Well, we're answering your questions and your doubts on coronavirus and the vaccines. We'll slip into a short break and return with more. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching our special show, Living Long and Healthy with COVID Vaccination, where we're answering all your questions and doubts regarding the vaccines. And we have a panel of doctors with us taking your questions. Dr. Avinash Kumar, another question is that if you have diabetes, does it matter which vaccine you get? Currently, of course, India has 2 vaccines in its kitty.
See, there are 2 vaccines presently available in India, that Covaxin and Covishield. Till now, it has been seen that both are equally effective, and one vaccine is not preferred over other in case of diabetes or any other chronic disease. So one can take any of these 2 vaccine, whichever is available in their region. The importance is that every diabetic should take vaccine, because if they take vaccine, there will be a decreased chance of getting a clinical infection, less severity. If a patient gets infected somehow, the severity of the disease will be much less, and the complications will be less, and there is less chance to spread this disease to the others. So thereby controlling and confining the disease in terms of spread and severity. So it's important not to bother about which vaccine is best. Just take the vaccine, it will help much more.
All right. Now, over the last year, because of the pandemic and lockdown, many people put off elective surgery. So Dr. Srinivas Murthy, is it now safe for people to go ahead and go for those surgeries?
Definitely, Gagi. Definitely, they can go ahead post-vaccination, I would say, when it's elective. Elective is a planned surgeries, like, for example, a cataract surgery. There's no hurry for a cataract surgery. So you can definitely plan 2 weeks after your vaccination is complete. You can safely go ahead. That means safety is that even if you acquire an infection, the COVID infection, it will be of less severity. That is the most important aspect. So we recommend about 2 weeks. In fact, we know that antibody titers start releasing after the first dose after about 3 weeks. So until 3 weeks, please do not let your guard loose, and that's very, very important fact. Elective surgeries can be definitely planned 2 weeks post completion of the vaccine.
All right, Dr. Sandeep Chopra, now do blood pressure lowering or lipid lowering medications affect the vaccine? Do people need to, go to their doctors or talk to their doctors before going in for the vaccine about their medication?
Sure. So there was initial talk when the pandemic started that a few subgroups of blood pressure medications were actually increasing the severity of COVID, and that has been proven wrong. So any blood pressure medicines that you're on, any cholesterol lowering medicine that you're on, please do not stop it. Your blood pressure should be well controlled as in any other time, not just related to the vaccination, and safely go ahead with the vaccination.
All right, Dr. Avinash Kumar, people really want to know when will we go back to normal, and I don't know, if it's going to be a new normal, but a lot of people ask that when can we stop wearing masks?
Wearing a mask is a basic step in preventing any respiratory disease, and the COVID is a respiratory disease. So it is on the top priority that you wear mask along with the hand hygiene practices, maintain the social distancing. This is the basic practice, social etiquette that one should follow in this kind of situation. More or less we are, one more thing in COVID-19 situation, pandemic situation, we are forgetting that we are also heading towards 2022. That is the year of eradication of the TB, tuberculosis. So in that case also the wearing a mask will help. So don't become hasty in taking off the mask. That is a good practice. We can get rid of this mask, general population, if there is herd immunity that grows in the society, that needs almost 70 to 80% people needs to be vaccinated. But the person who has low immunity, like diabetic person, heart disease with hypertension, dyslipidemia, and many other cancer patients, those patients should continue to wear mask lifelong.
All right, but interesting that you're suggesting those with low immunity continue to practice wearing masks, because we've seen in, Southeast Asian countries, they have a culture of wearing masks, especially during the flu season, which is why they were so, ready to start wearing masks, whereas Western countries that have no such culture actually took it upon like some sort of attack on their freedoms, and we've had, all those protests around this whole issue of mask wearing. Fortunately, in India, I think most people, at least in cities, have been complying. Dr. Srinivas Murthy, if we talk about people who've received both shots of the vaccine, both doses of the vaccine, do they have to continue wearing the mask and avoid close contact with others?
100%, Gagi. I think, as you rightly said, masking should become part of our culture going forward. I would definitely like the Japanese who wear throughout the year and, irrespective of the season, unlike you said in Southeast Asian countries where the flu season people tend to wear. But I think it should become a part of our culture. Now, coming to the question about the vaccination, even after 2 doses of vaccine, a lot of our colleagues, the doctors, have acquired the disease, they have got the disease, and that is something you need to be very, very clear about. Vaccination will not prevent you getting a second or a third infection. It will just make it a milder disease, probably, hopefully, because some people have also died. They have complicated, just for your information. But if you do not use your SMS, that is masking, the physical distancing, and the sanitization, you will definitely get the infection even after the second dose. In fact, a lot of people get even after the first dose, because as soon as the people take their first shot of vaccine, they take it for granted that they have become immune and they can do whatever they want. Please do not do that, and you can still get infections. Of course, there is a remote possibility that you may catch infection and you may transmit to your family members also if you don't maintain the physical distancing and masking. So mask has to be part of our culture going forward, and I don't see it is going to disappear in next 6 months for sure, because we are, the cases now, we are touching 1 lakh per day. I'm sure it is going to peak in May, June, and then probably taper. So next 6 months, I don't see that we can anyway relax the distancing part and the masking part for sure.
All right. Dr. Sandeep Chopra, coming back to people, with heart issues, is the vaccine safe for people with hypertension? Is there any special care they need to take?
Sure, no. As long as your blood pressure is controlled, that has nothing to do with your vaccine. I think the blood pressure needs to be optimally controlled for you lifelong. But yes, the vaccine per se has no effect on your blood pressure. So it is very safe and essential for you to go ahead with the vaccination if you are a high blood pressure patient.
And is there any special care they need to take, any monitoring they need to do post the vaccination?
So post-vaccination for half an hour, it is a protocol all over our country. When the nodal officer makes sure that you're monitored for your blood pressure and your vital signs for half an hour post your shot. And that's normal for anybody, even in patients without high blood pressure or diabetes. So the same precautions need to be taken for your blood pressure patients.
All right. Well, thank you so much, doctors, for joining us on the show and clearing all those doubts that people have and queries. And do remember, the message from all the doctors is when you're eligible, if you're eligible for the vaccine, do go ahead and get it. It's the only way we'll overcome this pandemic. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.